Welcome to Men, Sex, and Tantra.
Discover what your parents, porn, and religion never taught you about being a man and having extraordinary sex. I'm Tanya.
And my name is Robert Schwenkler.
And get ready to have your mind blown and your world rocked. Hey everybody, today we are going to talk about something super exciting, and it's called Men. Do you actually really love women? What could we even mean by that, Robert? What the heck are we talking about?
What could we even mean? I'll say that pretty much all of the guys that I work with personally, and I do work with a certain type of guy, they would pretty much say, yes, I love women, or, sometimes maybe I've ex-wife, whatever.
Yeah.
But in general, they would say that they love women. But what I find is that there are deeper layers beneath the surface that a lot of guys are not in tune with. And then there are guys out there that I've engaged a little less intimately with, but for sure there's what's it called? The MGTOW, men go their own way, which is kind of this movement. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's this movement of men who are just done with women. They feel fucked by women. They don't trust women, and they're just going to do life without women.
So is that that's one step up from the incels?
Yeah, they're kind of in similar camps. And then there's the camp of guys who just get what they want. They are
seduction community guys.
Yeah. And guys of that ilk. So there's a few different camps of guys within this conversation, and for the guy listening, maybe you identify a little bit more with one, or maybe none of them. But nonetheless, we're going to dive into loving and adoring and trusting and devoting to women, and
that sounds scary.
I think it sounds amazing. And we're going to talk about why this matters. What does this have to do with sex? What does this have to do with, I think it's kind of self-obvious as I say it, what does it have to do with intimacy? What does this have to do with sexual performance? Has a lot.
Yeah, I think you're breaking up on us there, but I think the real question when I sit in a men's group and I say things like, do you love women? Almost every guy is like, yeah, of course, dude, it's totally there, da-da-da-da-da. And they haven't really taken a moment to realize, oh, I didn't ask you, do you like having sex with women? Because, most hetero guys are like, yeah, I want to have sex with women. And it's not the same thing as loving a woman. It's not the same thing as adoring the feminine. It's not anywhere close to the same thing. Do you love women? Do you love what makes women women? Some of their mysteries, unpredictabilities. And I'm not talking about psycho crazy women that, are just off the hook emotionally with no self-regulation type of thing. But, the things that make women different than men.
Including the parts that you might want but can't get from them, or don't know how to get, or have felt frustrated around getting, which might be sex, which might be, a whole variety of things. Yeah, it's a deep question.
Because you told me when we were first starting this about what we're going to talk today, about your journey of where, you thought you loved women, or you felt that way, but what did that look like when you were in that space?
I mean, for me, asking me at any point in my life, do you love women? I would have answered yes. And that's true in a lot of ways. And what can coexist at the same time alongside of, yes, I love women, is also wounding and mistrust and parts of me that, didn't believe that women were safe to give myself to, and also didn't believe that it was safe to, one of the things that I'm really present to in this conversation is there's this, not a dichotomy exactly, but a polarity that exists. Me personally, at this point in my journey, after I've gone through the healing work and the realizing that there was anger and that there has been pain and that there has been for me, a sense of feeling emasculated by women, by the feminine, working through some of those layers, reclaiming my sense of sovereignty, is that on one hand, I want to just lay myself down at the feet of women, just worship and devote myself to women who know how to receive it. Is I'll add that caveat because
I mean, not to, yeah.
there are a lot of people who don't know how to receive, like my love given irresponsibly is not of service to me or anybody else. But fundamentally, I want to devote myself to women. And alongside of that, I want I want women to lay themselves down at my feet and worship me for in all the different ways for the man that I am. And that for me, that reciprocal, that capacity for both of those elements to devote and to be devoted to me is what indicates that there actually is trust
Yeah.
in my heart for women or in the heart of a man. There are a lot of I know a lot of guys who are givers. There are a lot of people out there in the world who are really good at giving. Some of these guys end up just continuing to get taken advantage of by women, and to me that belies some level of mistrust that they're creating in their lives. And then obviously there's the other side of the spectrum where men just want what they can get from women and they're not willing to reciprocate with the same level of devotional service and attention.
I always thought this was a great conversation when I had these big workshops with men. And in Vancouver, Canada, there used to be an ethical seduction community. I call it ethical seduction community because they were really working on the men being best versions of themselves and not just scoring.
Not just getting what they want.
Yeah, right. But when I would go teach so I agreed to teach the sex classes to these guys. You'd have 100 and something guys, 200 guys sitting in a room. And I asked the question, do you love women? And like I said, they're all like, yeah. And then I say, here, I want you to answer these questions. And I give me 6 negatives and 6 positives about women, right? And I said, be truthful, absolutely, if for some reason, that your negative comes up, yeah, women can be bitches, just write down that. Women can be, take away from me or whatever, just write whatever these parts. Now, a lot of times the guys would give me physical attributes on the positive side. And it wasn't like, oh, women are different than men, which, yeah, women look different than men. That's awesome. I mean, it's part of the attraction. But they literally would write down ass, tits, those types of things, not even necessarily that the feminine form is different, right? And then on the negative side, very much a lot of women withhold, women demand, women are too emotional, women can be bitches because they reject me, women are rejecting. And so a lot of these things coming up, and after this exercise, and I led them through quite a few things, many of them would say, I like the idea of having sex with women, but I realize I don't actually love women. I'm scared of women, or I'm mistrustful of women, or I don't understand women, which is the big one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and fear and mistrust feel like powerful words to apply to this conversation to me. And as I'm listening to you talk about these men and the answers that they give, I hear in the like category, physical qualities, in the dislike quality, emotional categories. And that's a trope and a stereotype. And I think for a good reason. There is the trope that men don't know what to do with a woman when she's feeling emotional, when she's in her emotional expression. And
or men are desperate and they're throwing themselves at the woman in that needy way, and the woman's rejecting them. And then when the man's not realizing his part in why he's getting that idea about women.
Yeah. Yeah. And this conversation around trust, this whole conversation got generated from, do you love and respect women? And do you hold resentment against women? And then there's a deeper layer for me, which is, do you trust women? And then as I'm saying that, there's an even deeper layer of the conversation, which is, do I trust myself to trust women?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, trust is an internal game.
Absolutely.
I have my own inner GPS calibrated well enough that I know when a situation is a yes to dive into. Do I have my internal GPS calibrated well enough to know that, oh, there's something going on here, for not just for her, but my baggage is getting hooked into this in a way that's gonna create some codependence, or that's going to be just where we're operating upon wounding rather than a real open, available, reciprocal, intimate relationship, even if
Absolutely.
it's just a first date of a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're over, so if you're, as a man, mainly geared towards, can I get sex from her? And is she hot enough for me to want to get sex from her? And this is your mindset when you're walking into this experience exclusively. That's the thing. You're not asking, this like, do I trust myself around women, even hot women? Even non-hot women, do I like women,
Yeah.
like there's that part too, like in general, do you have women friends? Do you find the company of women a good thing?
Can
Or,
I find beautiful things about a woman even if I don't find her physically attractive
right, if I'm not
necessarily?
interested in having sex with her, can I still, yeah,
Can
find,
I
yeah,
look at her energy and still be like, wow, this is a gorgeous woman? That's
absolutely,
been a process for me. And so then there's that kind of guy that you're talking about. And then I've worked with a lot of guys who would kind of be on the other side of the spectrum. Um, they would actually sometimes have a hard time owning their sexual desire for women
right.
because they don't want to come across as creepy or pushy or aggressive or whatever.
Big with the Me Too movement that's really
Yeah.
pushed
Yeah,
men
exactly.
down, being afraid of, oh, I want to strike up a conversation with that woman, but I don't want to be
Yeah.
that guy,
Yeah.
that guy that doesn't know boundaries.
And these guys still don't trust themselves around women. They still don't trust women. They don't trust women to be resilient, powerful creatures. They don't trust themselves to be attuned to women. They don't trust themselves to attract women who want to love and worship and adore them. And part of my loving and worshiping women is there's a sexual desire there, with my woman, my partner. Um, if if my sexual desire for her wasn't laid out plainly on the table, there would be this, it would be a very different relationship and
Yeah,
not the kind of relationship that either of us actually want to be in.
yeah,
And so part of my respect for her, my love and devotion for her is letting her know that I desire her
right.
and learning how to do that in ways that feel good, that aren't just me being like, oh, nice, nice tits or
If that's
whatever.
not what she's into, right? I mean, because,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of, women are actually, and I think this really gets underplayed a lot, women are very auditory. And those things, a lot of the women in women's groups that I teach say things like, like he doesn't tell me he loves me enough or that I'm attractive enough. And the guy's like, but I'm showing her that all the time. I'm chasing her down the hallway, grabbing her ass. And, it's like that gets underplayed, the auditory way you can use your voice and things to be attractive or to attract her. But that, if we go back to the beginning where, if women are mysterious and men ask what's the password, damn it, like I just need the password, and you're scared, there's some fear there, there's performance anxiety, there's desire but inability to make that go in the right way. All of it keeps coming back to, and you pointed that out, it's like yourself. If you're blaming women for problems, either A, you're not solid in yourself, so you're approaching them wrong, or that's wrong, or you're not claiming your desires, or B, you're picking from one set of things. Like if you're pornified, there might be a porn starlet that you like how she looks, and so now every woman that you're into, that's the only reason you're picking them. They may not be a good match for you. They may not be any other thing except for that. So I mean, there's a whole value, a whole set around women that isn't just physical.
Yeah. Well, and I'm curious to unpack something real quick. A lot of the guys that I know, they would be more liable to blame themselves than to blame
Okay. Yep.
women. But my sense is that there still is like a mistrust or a resentment or something around women that doesn't accurately represent who women actually are.
Well, I have the nice guys. When I work with the nice guys, they're typically, and that's the ones that like, I just don't know what to do. They really get lured into that whole pickup seduction community stuff and come away with even feeling worse because all the guys that are successful, they're being somebody else. But um, the nice guy thing also is, like you said, not, if you don't can't claim your desire, then that's a problem. But the other part is like, what do you bring to the table? Other than that, how do you feel about that? And I see a lot of those guys telling me, women don't want a nice guy. So they're trying to do things that really aren't them as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to lay on this other persona
Mm-hmm.
because women don't like good men.
Mm-hmm.
Women don't like nice guys. Nice being a word that basically is kind is different than nice.
Mm-hmm.
So women may not like nice guys if nice guys are acting like doormats,
Yep.
right? Do women like kind men with big hearts? Absolutely. A woman actually finds a man more and more attractive the more he touches her heart.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we want kind men, but we don't want nice guys who are not stepping into owning what they want,
Yeah.
being doormats to be stepped on. None of that is attractive.
And the reason that nice guys do that is because they're still projecting all kinds of bullshit onto women.
Yeah.
And that does, projecting all kinds of bullshit onto women does not fall into the category of loving and deeply respecting women. Not in my book.
We're really nice, really in the background, right?
Yeah.
The hidden agendas, the stuff that's like, how to figure that out. Yeah,
Yep.
it's all covert. Like,
Yep.
women are definitely energetically sensitive.
Yep.
And when you approach a woman and you have any kind of covert things going on, it sends off radars for us, first of all.
Totally.
It doesn't feel safe. If you feel anxious in that way that you're holding back lots of stuff, not like nervous, like first date nervous, but if you're really not solid in yourself that way, yeah, we're like looking at you going, I don't really know what's happening there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I tend to want to, I'm noticing myself continuing to steer the conversation in this direction, partially because it's where I have come from and who I tend to work with, but also because, like you're saying, it is covert. It's not nearly as obvious as the douchebag guy going out there taking whatever he wants.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And those guys are basically what happens with them later, because a lot of the top seduction community guys, and I've coached later on, when they're like, okay, so I'm bored and done with all this sex and meaningless whatever, I can't seem to figure out how to have a relationship.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I get the call to like, okay, let's take this attitude and neural pathways now, let's make them be something
Yeah.
more solid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see kind of both sides as really kind of the same, though. And both of those are hidden agendas, not bringing your personal self, not trusting yourself, and thinking you need a tag or a lead or a game or a something,
Mm-hmm.
instead of really authenticity, you
Yep.
being you, and getting rid of those covert behind the scenes things that are happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that really completes the loop really beautifully. Do I love, respect, and adore women? Well, to the extent that I'm bringing hidden agendas, the answer is no. There's still work inside for me to do to heal those parts so that I can show up more honest, open, and in integrity.
And the word like probably should be in there too, because you can love somebody without really liking them. There's a chemical.
Mm.
You can, I don't think you can respect somebody without liking them, though.
Mm.
Well, no, yeah, you can't do that either. So I think we need to throw like in there.
Great.
Like, love, respect,
Adore.
adore.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the questions to ask yourself when you're listening to this call is to do a deep dive and kind of unpack a little bit what we're saying here. Don't just automatically go, well, I want to be with a woman in a relationship and have sex with her. Of course I love women. That is not really the full answer. And so in that category of, do you love women? Do you adore women? Do you respect women? Do you like women? Kind of write down those 4 categories and kind of really take a deep dive into doing that. You can do the exercise I do with my guys if you want, which is the 6 negatives and 6 positives about women. And if you can really dig deep and, be real about that, that can help. And just the overall really understanding of these different categories that we're talking about. You could say you love women, but you don't really respect them, and you should see that in your actions. You don't really like them. You don't have any women friends. You're like, yeah, whatever. If you don't respect them, like them, how are you going to adore them? You can't adore them unless you have the other parts, by the way.
Yeah. So Take that to your journal pad, your notebook. I don't know. Take that out. Journal about it.
Forearm and
Yeah, yeah.
crazy.
Inquire into yourself, and we would love to hear any thoughts, questions, comments that come up in the comments. And
Absolutely. For anybody that wants to dive deeper into, hey, I have a problem and I need some solutions, we are here for you. And it's pretty easy to hook up with us in either one of our programs or one on one coaching.
yeah,
We're here, happy to answer some short questions down below. To dive in deeper, just keep watching our podcast, subscribe to it, and come check us out.
we will see you next time.